The twin suns beat down mercilessly on the alien shore as Killian Jones trudged through the purple sand, his survival pack weighing heavily on his muscular shoulders. The human explorer wiped sweat from his brow, squinting against the glare reflecting off the turquoise ocean stretching before him. Another fruitless day searching for signs of civilization on this uncharted world, but Killian refused to give up hope. If he could just find sentient life and make first contact, it would all be worth it, the solitude, the dwindling supplies, the gnawing fear that he might never return home. He had to succeed for the sake of humanity's future among the stars. A flash of movement caught Killian's eye, and he froze, slowly reaching for the plasma pistol at his hip. There it was again, a glistening tail cresting the gentle waves. His heart pounded as he waited, hardly daring to breathe. Suddenly, the creature burst from the water, a vision of beauty. She appeared humanoid from the waist up, with smooth teal skin, elegant fins framing her face, and eyes like polished black opals. Instead of legs, a powerful tail propelled her through the surf, scales shimmering in opalescent shades of blue and green. Killian stood transfixed, plasma pistol forgotten. She was the most beautiful being he had ever seen. The mermaid-like alien seemed equally stunned by him, pausing her graceful swimming to stare at the human in wonder. Time stretched between them, human and alien regarding each other across an expanse of sand and sea, two worlds colliding. Then the spell broke as a massive tentacle erupted from the depths, snatching the mermaid and dragging her under the churning waves. "No," Killian yelled, instinct taking over. He sprinted into the ocean, salty water filling his boots. Diving beneath the surface, he frantically scanned the murky depths for any sign of her. There, thrashing in the clutches of a monstrous kraken-like creature, the mermaid fought for her life, streams of cyan blood clouding the water. Killian swam toward her with powerful strokes, drawing a vibro blade from his belt. The kraken spotted him, beady eyes narrowing as it whipped a tentacle at the human interloper. Killian twisted out of the way and slashed with his knife, the ultrasonic blade slicing through rubbery flesh. The monster screeched, a sound that vibrated through the depths. Killian pressed his attack, desperately trying to reach the weakening mermaid. The kraken was too strong, battering him with its flailing limbs. His lungs burned for air, dark spots danced in his vision. With a last burst of strength, Killian plunged his vibro blade into the kraken's pulsing brain. The creature spasmed and went limp, its tentacles unfurling from the mermaid's body. As inky blood billowed around them, Killian grabbed the injured alien and kicked toward the distant surface, feeling her tail brush against his legs. They exploded from the water, Killian heaving great lungfuls of air while supporting the semi-conscious mermaid with faltering strokes. He swam toward shore, fighting the drag of his waterlogged gear. Collapsing on the sand, Killian rolled the mermaid onto her back, frantically checking for a pulse, a breath, any sign of life. "Come on, stay with me," he pleaded, starting chest compressions. He had no idea if it would work on her alien physiology, but he had to try. Seconds stretched into agonizing minutes. Just as despair gripped him, the mermaid's eyes fluttered open, fixing on her human rescuer. "You saved me," she said in halting English, her melodic voice weak. "Why?" Killian sat back on his haunches, relief flooding through him. "I couldn't let you die," he said simply. "I'm Killian, by the way." "Killian Jones." "Nia," she replied, trying to sit up and wincing. Her tail was badly gashed, azure blood oozing from the wounds. "Easy there," Killian said, gently pushing her back down. "You're hurt. Let me help." He pulled a med kit from his pack and set to work cleaning and sealing her injuries with antibacterial gel and skin glue. Nia watched him work, obsidian eyes unreadable. "Your kind are not like the stories," she murmured. "They say humans are dangerous, bloodthirsty, a scourge upon the galaxy. Yet you risked your life for me, a stranger." Killian met her gaze, seeing the confusion and hint of fear swirling there. "Not all humans are like that," he said quietly. "Most of us just want to explore, to learn, to find our place among the stars. We're not so different from you." Perhaps Nia allowed. She reached out to touch his face with a webbed hand, tracing the unfamiliar lines and angles. Killian held very still, hardly daring to breathe. "You're the first human I've ever met," Nia continued, her voice stronger now. "The first alien at all. My people are forbidden from contacting outsiders." "Guess that makes me pretty special then," Killian said with a wry smile. Nia laughed, a sound like rippling water that made his heart skip. "Very special," she agreed. Her tail twitched as she tried to move it, sending spirals of pain across her lovely features. "You need to rest," Killian told her. Give yourself time to heal. You can stay with me until you're better. Nia looked at him uncertainly, her tail twitching with discomfort. Stay with you? Is that wise? We barely know each other. Killian smiled reassuringly. I promise I'm not as scary as the stories make humans out to be. I just want to help you recover. It's not safe for you out here alone and injured. After a moment's hesitation, Nia nodded. All right, I suppose I don't have much choice. Thank you, Killian. He carefully scooped her up, mindful of her wounds, and carried her toward the cliffs. Nia wrapped her arms around his neck, marveling at the strength in his muscular frame. She had never been this close to a human before. Never felt the warmth of their skin or the steady beat of their heart. Killian found a sheltered alcove in the rocky face, shielded from the wind and spray. He gently set Nia down on a bed of soft sand. Wait here, he said. I'll be right back with some supplies. He returned shortly with his survival pack, pulling out a canteen of fresh water and a pack of nutrient rations. Here he offered, holding the canteen to Nia's lips. Drink slowly. She sipped the cool, clean water gratefully, feeling it soothe her parched throat. Killian tore open a ration pack, revealing a compressed bar of proteins and complex carbs. I know it's not the most appetizing, but it will help you regain your strength, he said apologetically. Nia took a tentative bite and wrinkled her nose. It's interesting, she said diplomatically. Killian laughed. That's one word for it. Hopefully we can find you some real food soon. He settled down next to her, long legs stretched out on the sand. As the twin suns dipped toward the horizon, painting the sky in vivid streaks of orange and red, the unlikely pair began to talk. Slowly at first, then with growing enthusiasm. Killian told Nia of Earth of soaring megacities and vast oceans, of a people who dreamed of the stars. In turn, she spoke of her underwater world, of glowing coral reefs and ancient songs, of a race content in their isolation. I've always been curious about the world above the waves. Nia confessed. Even though it was forbidden, I would sometimes sneak to the surface and watch the sunset, wondering what lay beyond the horizon. I know that feeling, Killian said. That's why I became an explorer. I couldn't stand the thought of spending my life trapped on one planet, never knowing what else was out there. He gazed up at the first stars emerging in the twilight. And now, here I am on an alien world, talking to a mermaid. If someone had told me this would happen, I would have thought they were crazy. Nia laughed, a musical sound that warmed Killian to his core. Life has a way of surprising us, she said. Perhaps our meeting was fated, a sign of the change that is to come. What do you mean? Killian asked, intrigued. Nia hesitated, then seemed to come to a decision. There is a prophecy among my people, she said slowly. It speaks of a time when the children of land and sea will unite, when the ancient barriers will crumble, and a new era of understanding will begin. But it also warns of great challenges and sacrifices that must be made along the way. She looked at Killian, her obsidian eyes reflecting the dying light. I never put much stock in such tales before, but now, having met you, I wonder if perhaps there is truth to them after all. Killian reached out and took her hand, marveling at the delicate webbing between her fingers. Well, prophecy or not, I'm glad our paths crossed, he said softly. For however long we have together, I want to learn all I can about you and your world. Nia squeezed his hand, feeling the calluses born of a life of adventure. I want that too, she whispered. More than anything. They talked long into the night, the crash of the waves and the alien calls of nocturnal creatures a counterpoint to their voices. Two souls, human and merfolk, land and sea, finding unexpected kinship on the shores of an unknown world. It was the beginning of something extraordinary, something that would echo through the ages. Killian felt a connection to Nia unlike anything he had experienced before. More than the stirrings of attraction, it was a bone-deep recognition of a kindred spirit. A sense of coming home. He knew it was foolish to let himself fall for an alien he had just met, one he would likely have to say goodbye to soon. But his heart didn't seem to care. As the moons rose, casting the beach in a silver glow, Nia drifted off to sleep, her head pillowed on Killian's lap. He gazed down at her, marveling at the delicate beauty of her features, the gentle rise and fall of her chest. What twist of fate had brought them together, human and mermaid, savior and saved? Killian didn't know, but as he finally succumbed to exhaustion, he sent a silent prayer of thanks to the uncaring universe for this unexpected gift, however fleeting it might prove to be. Little did he know that their story was just beginning, one that would change both their lives and the galaxy forever. For Killian and Nia were about to embark on an adventure beyond their wildest imaginings, one filled with danger, wonder, and love that would transcend the stars themselves. But for now they slept, two hearts beating as one beneath alien skies, dreaming of a future where humans and merfolk could swim side by side in peace, exploring the vast oceans of the cosmos together. It was an impossible dream, perhaps, but on this strange and distant shore, anything seemed possible, even a love between land and sea. Killian awoke to the sound of Nia singing, her voice a haunting melody that seemed to weave itself into the fabric of the alien dawn. He lay still for a moment, listening, marveling at the beauty of it. It was a song of longing, of dreams unfulfilled, of a soul yearning for something more. Slowly he sat up, wincing as his muscles protested the long night spent on the hard sand. Nia was sitting at the edge of the water, her tail dangling in the gentle surf. She looked ethereal in the soft light of the rising suns, her teal skin glistening with droplets of moisture. "Good morning," Killian called softly, not wanting to startle her. Nia turned, a smile brightening her delicate features. "Killian, you're awake. I hope I didn't disturb you with my singing." "Not at all," he assured her, walking over to join her by the water's edge. "It was beautiful. I've never heard anything like it." Nia ducked her head shyly. "It's an old song passed down through generations of my people. It speaks of the longing for connection, for understanding between different worlds." Killian sat down next to her, close enough to feel the coolness radiating from her skin. "Seems fitting, given our current situation," he said with a wry smile. Nia laughed softly. "Indeed." She flicked her tail, sending a spray of droplets arcing through the air. "How are you feeling this morning? I know sleeping on the sand couldn't have been comfortable for you." "A bit stiff," Killian admitted, rolling his shoulders. "But I've had worse." "Hazard of the job." He nodded toward her bandaged wounds. "More importantly, how are you doing? How's the pain?" "Better," Nia said, flexing her tail experimentally. "The gel you used seems to be helping." "I think I'm healing quickly." "Good," Killian said, relieved. "I was worried." He hesitated, then reached out to take her hand. "Nia, I'm really glad you're okay. When I saw that Kraken grab you, I thought he trailed off, unable to put the fear and desperation he'd felt into words." Nia squeezed his hand, her obsidian eyes soft with understanding. "I know," she murmured. "I felt it too, the terror of thinking my life was about to end, the regret of so many things left undone and unsaid." She took a shaky breath. "But you saved me, Killian. You risked everything for a stranger, an alien. I still don't understand why." Killian looked out over the endless expanse of the sea, gathering his thoughts. "I guess I couldn't bear the thought of letting you die," he said finally. "From the moment I saw you, I felt this connection, this sense that our meeting was important somehow, that it meant something." He met her gaze, letting all his tangled emotions show in his eyes. "I know we just met, and I know this probably sounds crazy, but I care about you, Nia, more than I probably should. And the idea of losing you, of never getting the chance to know you, it was unbearable." Nia stared at him, her expression unreadable. For a long moment, she was silent, and Killian felt his heart sinking. Had he said too much? Misread the situation entirely? Then, slowly, Nia leaned forward and brushed her lips against his a feather-light touch that sent sparks racing through his body. "I feel it too," she whispered against his mouth. "The connection, the rightness of this. Like we were meant to find each other, even across the vastness of space." Killian cupped her face in his hands, marveling at the softness of her skin, the alien beauty of her features. "Nia," he breathed, pouring all his longing and wonder into that single word. Their lips met again, more firmly this time, and the world fell away. There was only the two of them, human and merfolk, lost in the taste and feel of each other. Killian tangled his fingers in Nia's silky hair, pulling her closer, deepening the kiss. She responded eagerly, her webbed hands sliding over his shoulders and back, leaving trails of tingling warmth in their wake. It was a kiss like no other, transcending species and worlds, a meeting of souls destined to change the course of the galaxy. But in that perfect, shining moment, Killian and Nia knew only the rush of their mingled breaths, the pounding of their joined hearts, the rightness of being exactly where they were meant to be. Finally, reluctantly, they pulled apart, both flushed and breathing hard. Killian rested his forehead against Nia's, savoring her closeness, the intimacy of the gesture. "That was," he started, then trailed off, at a loss for words. Incredible, Nia finished for him, her voice husky. Like coming home to a place I never knew existed. Killian nodded, too overwhelmed to speak. He knew with a bone-deep certainty that his life had just changed forever, that this mermaid from another world had claimed a piece of his heart, one he would never get back. And he didn't want it back. But even as joy and wonder suffused him, dark tendrils of worry crept in. What did this mean for them? A human and a mermaid, separated by the gulf between sea and stars. How could they possibly make this work? As if sensing his thoughts, Nie pulled back slightly, her expression growing serious. Killian, I don't know what happens now. My people, your mission, there's so much standing in our way. I know, Killian said heavily. Believe me, I know. But Nia, I can't just let you go. Not after this. Not after finding something I didn't even know I was looking for. He took her hands in his, willing her to understand. We'll figure it out, he promised. Somehow, someway, we'll find a path forward. Together, she echoed softly, twining her fingers with his. I like the sound of that. Killian smiled, feeling a rush of fierce determination. He had faced down countless dangers and challenges in his life as an explorer, but none had ever mattered as much as Naya. He would move heaven and earth to keep her safe, to build a future where they could be together. No matter what obstacles stood in their way, no matter what sacrifices he had to make, because in the end, love was worth fighting for. And what he felt for Nia, this bone-deep, soul-searing connection that was love, he knew it with every fiber of his being. The galaxy might try to tear them apart, but Killian would be damned if he let it succeed. He was a human, after all, stubborn, resilient, defiant in the face of impossible odds. And when a human set their mind and heart to something, when they believed in it with every ounce of their strength, well, the universe had better watch out. Because one way or another, come hell or high water, they would find a way.